Have you ever felt like you're doing everything right, but somehow everything still feels wrong? You're always there for her. You answer her texts fast. You never let her feel alone. You show up, give your time, your love, your energy, even your peace. You tell yourself, if I just give her more, she'll stay. She'll see I'm the right one. But then, something strange happens. The more you show up, the more she pulls away. The more you're there, the more she disappears. And it hurts. Badly. You start to ask, why does she act cold when I've done nothing but care? Your stomach feels tight. Your chest gets heavy. You stare at your phone, hoping, praying, wishing for a message that never comes. You check your notifications again. Nothing. You refresh the app. Still nothing. And your mind races. Did I say something wrong? Did I do too much? Did I do too little? Is she with someone else? You feel confused. You feel stuck. You feel like no matter how hard you try, it's never enough. It feels like you're chasing someone who keeps walking away. But listen closely now. This is the truth most men never hear. You can't earn love by always being available. You can't win someone's heart by proving your worth over and over again. And being the nice guy, the one who's always there, always giving, always ready, doesn't create deep respect. It creates comfort, and comfort kills desire. Let that sink in for a moment. You don't have to stop being kind. You don't have to change your heart. But you do need to understand this. Love doesn't grow in wide open spaces. It grows in meaningful distance. When someone has to reach for you, even just a little, they start to see your value. They begin to wonder what you're doing. They think about you. They miss you. But when you're always there, when your world revolves around her, she doesn't feel that pull. She doesn't wonder. She doesn't chase. Because she doesn't have to. You were taught wrong. You were told, give her more. Do more. Show more. But real attraction doesn't come from giving endlessly. It comes from having a life she wants to join. A mission. A calm, steady mind. A strong, quiet presence. Women don't want to be the center of your life. They want to be a part of a man's life that already has direction. A man who can disappear into silence and not feel scared. A man who doesn't explain his every move. A man who is there because he chooses to be, not because he has nothing else. This is Stoic power. It's the ability to care without chasing, to love without begging, to show up with strength, not need. So before we go to the next page, ask yourself, are you giving so much that she's forgetting what it's like to miss you? What would happen if you finally stopped chasing and started leading? She doesn't fall for the man who's always waiting. What if I told you that being too available can make you invisible? Sounds strange, right? You think that being there every time she calls, replying fast, dropping your plans just to be with her, is what a good man does. You think that love means always being ready, always saying yes. always showing up. But here's the twist no one talks about. When you're always available, you become easy to forget. Think about it. When someone knows you'll say yes every time, when they know you'll drop everything just for them, when they know they can get your attention anytime they want, where's the excitement? Where's the wonder? Where's the value? It's gone. Because anything that's always available gets taken for granted. Not because they're evil, not because they don't like you, but because it's human nature. We don't chase what's always there. We chase what might not be. That's what creates tension. That's what builds attraction. That's what makes someone stop and ask, where did he go? Why is he so calm? What's he up to? But if you're always waiting, if you're always ready with a smile, a plan, a compliment, she never has to wonder. She never has to choose you because she never had to risk losing you. You see, real power comes from being a man who has a life, a man who can't always reply in 1 second, because he's focused, because he's building, because he's on his mission. And when he shows up from strength, not desperation. He gives because he wants to, not because he needs to. Women feel that difference. They can sense when a man is centered, grounded, calm, not trying to impress, not trying to win, just being who he is. And that's the man who makes her pause. That's the man who makes her wonder. That's the man who makes her feel. Equals equals. So here's the truth, brother. If she knows you're always waiting, she doesn't feel the pull to come closer. But when you step back, not out of fear, but out of focus, everything changes. Now let me ask you, what if the best thing you could do for love is stop being the man who's always there? The man who's too nice gets replaced first. Let me ask you something strange. Have you ever wondered why the nice guy always loses? He listens. He shows up. He waits patiently. He gives everything, his time, his heart, his full attention. And somehow, she still chooses someone else. Why? Because there's a quiet truth no one teaches boys. Being nice doesn't make her feel anything. You see, most men think they have to earn her heart. They think love is like school. If you do all your homework, say all the right things, and never cause problems, you'll get picked. But here's the cold, real truth. Love doesn't follow rules. Attraction doesn't care about your effort. It cares about your energy, your stillness, your mystery, your direction. The man who's always there, always agreeing, always saying yes, becomes predictable. And when you're predictable, you're not exciting. You're not challenging. You're not magnetic. She can sense when you're not leading your own life, when you're waiting on her choices before you make yours. And over time, that makes her feel something she'll never say out loud. I can control him. And guess what? The moment she feels that, respect starts to slip away. Slowly, quietly. But it always does. But the man who's not afraid to walk away, the one who isn't cold, but calm, the one who has boundaries, standards, and a life outside of her. That's the man who holds her attention. That's the man who makes her feel alive. That's the man who earns her respect, not with words, but with presence. It's not about being mean. It's not about being rude. It's about being solid. Because deep down, she doesn't want to lead you. She wants to trust you. So I'll ask you this. Are you being nice or are you being respected? The difference is huge. And in the next stage, you'll discover why your silence can say more than 1,000 kind words. Your silence is louder than your words. Let me tell you something that might shock you. Sometimes the strongest thing you can say is nothing at all. Now wait, don't skip this, because this is where most men mess up and lose respect without even knowing it. When a woman pulls away, when she gets cold, slow, distant, most men panic. They think, did I do something wrong? I need to fix this. I have to say something before I lose her. And so they rush in. They explain. They text long messages. They over-apologize. They try to prove they care. But what happens? She pulls away even more. Because now, your words sound like begging. Let me tell you a secret. When your presence is strong, your silence becomes powerful. When you know your worth, you don't need to explain it. She notices when you don't chase. She notices when you don't fight for attention. She notices when you calmly step back and say nothing at all. That silence, it hits harder than anything you could say. It makes her think. It makes her wonder. It makes her feel your value. Not because of what you do, but because of what you don't do. And it creates this strange feeling inside her. Why isn't he reacting? Why isn't he fighting for me? Wait, did I lose him? That's not manipulation. That's strength. That's control. That's stoic power. You're not disappearing out of fear. You're holding space out of self-worth. And the man who can hold that silence, he doesn't just get attention. He earns respect. Your absence is a test she didn't expect. Here's something most men don't understand. When you stop showing up all the time, her real feelings start to speak. Crazy, right? Most guys think they lose her if they stop being available. They think if they don't call, text, chase, she'll forget about them. But guess what? That constant presence, it actually kills the spark. You were always there, always replying, always giving, always ready. So she never had a reason to wonder. She never missed you. She never had to think about what she felt. Why would she? You were always around, like a light that never turns off. But here's where it gets interesting. When you start living your life again, fully, when you get focused on your goals, when your world becomes about your mission, not just her, you naturally become absent. Not because you're playing games, but because you're finally choosing you. And that absence, it's not silence anymore. It's a mirror. It shows her who she is when you're not around. Does she even care? Does she feel the loss? Does she start to wonder where you went? This is where the truth shows up. If she values you, she'll feel it. If she doesn't, she won't. And either way, you win. Because now you see clearly. You're not begging for crumbs anymore. You're not guessing where you stand. You're letting her actions do the talking. That's how a man with self-worth moves. He doesn't demand answers. He lets distance reveal them. And this scares people who are used to control. Because the man who can walk away calmly, that man is rare. So I'll ask you this. Are you strong enough to let space speak for you? Because what I'm about to show you next is how your time becomes gold when it's not freely given. The more you give, the less she feels. Here's a strange truth most men never learn. Sometimes the more you give, the more she pulls away. Sounds backwards, doesn't it? You're thinking, I'm kind, I'm present, I'm giving everything I can. But somehow, she becomes colder, quieter, more distant. Why? Because love doesn't grow from pressure, it grows from space. Let's look at this clearly. When you chase her every moment, when you say yes every time, when you drop everything just for her, she doesn't feel your strength. She doesn't feel your depth. She doesn't even feel your aura. She feels smothered, crowded, like you're trying too hard to make her feel something that's not even there yet. And the worst part, you're losing yourself, your focus, your mission, your edge, all because you believe this lie. That love is earned through being constantly available. But here's what a Stoic man knows. He knows that real love grows in mystery, in the unknown, in the waiting. You see, when you stop trying so hard to impress her, when you stop showing up every second, you become more powerful, more attractive, more calm. You're not a puppet on strings anymore. You're a mountain, solid, still, and unbothered. And that is where desire begins. Not in giving too much, but in giving the right amount, at the right time, with the right intention. So don't overgive to prove you're worthy. She doesn't want a servant. She wants a leader, a man who values his energy and shares it wisely. Now let me ask you, are you ready to stop chasing and start leading? Scarcity isn't rude, it's powerful. Here's a wild thought most men never hear. The less you're around, the more she feels you. Wait, what? How can being less available make her want you more? Let's break it down. Think about your favorite snack. Now imagine having it every single day, whenever you want. What happens? You stop craving it. It becomes normal, boring, expected. You forget how special it used to feel. Now take it away for a week, 2 weeks. What happens then? You start missing it. You remember why you loved it. You crave it again. It's not the snack that changed. It's the space that made you remember. That's exactly how scarcity works with your presence. When you're always there, she can't feel your value. But when you're gone, on purpose, living your own life, she starts to wonder. She starts to think. She starts to miss. Not because you're playing a game, not because you're trying to manipulate, but because you're building your life. And that life doesn't revolve around her. A Stoic man knows this truth. His time is rare. His energy is not cheap. And his love is not on sale. So when he gives it, it means something. Women feel that. They respect it. And they're drawn to it like a magnet. Because no woman wants a man who's always there with nothing to do. She wants a man who is busy growing, building, becoming. So ask yourself, have you been too easy to reach? Too quick to reply? Too open with your time? Because the next time you pause, disappear, and focus on yourself, you'll notice something strange. She'll start coming closer. Your calm is louder than her games. Have you ever felt like she's trying to push your buttons on purpose? 1 minute she's warm, then cold, sweet, then distant. Says she likes you, but disappears for days. Feels like a puzzle with missing pieces, doesn't it? Here's the part no one tells you. She's not testing your words. She's testing your emotions. She wants to see, will you stay calm when things get confusing? Or will you chase, panic, beg, and break? That's where most men lose. They react. They rush. They say things they don't mean. They overgive. They try to prove their worth when it should have never been questioned. But the Stoic man, he does something very different. He doesn't chase. He doesn't argue. He doesn't explain his value like a salesman. He becomes ice, still, quiet, controlled. Why? Because he knows something powerful. A man who can master his emotions, own them, breathe through them, and stay calm in chaos, becomes the rarest kind of man. His silence speaks, his calmness glows, and his steadiness feels like home. This isn't about being heartless. It's about being centered. Even when she acts hot and cold, even when she tries to pull you out of your peace, you stay rooted like a mountain. That strength, that control, it doesn't go unnoticed. She may not say it out loud, but inside, she feels it. This man is different. So ask yourself now, do you let your emotions control you? Or have you learned how to feel them without falling apart? Because in the end, the calmest man in the room is the one she watches the closest. Want to know what makes your confidence unshakable next? Now, real confidence doesn't ask for approval. What if I told you that the moment you stop asking is the moment you start leading? You see, most men don't even realize they're walking around with invisible chains. Chains of seeking her approval. They don't ask, is this right for me? They ask, will she like this? Will she stay if I do this? Will she choose me? But here's the raw truth. Every time you chase her approval, you're giving her power. she never asked for. And deep down, she doesn't even respect. Real confidence? It doesn't beg. It doesn't wait. It doesn't look around to see who's clapping. Real confidence comes from doing the work when no one is looking, from building your mind, your craft, your peace, brick by brick. It's quiet. It's firm. It walks into a room and doesn't need to prove a thing. Because a man who knows who he is doesn't need someone else to tell him. Let's be honest. You weren't born to be her backup dancer. You were built to be your own show. And when she sees that you're not looking for her applause, that's when she starts watching closer. That's when curiosity turns into respect. And respect? That's the beginning of real attraction. So don't rush to explain your every move. Don't wait to be chosen. Choose yourself. The man who leads his own life attracts others who want to join the journey, not because he asked, but because his energy says, I'm already full, with or without you. Now, are you ready to see what happens when she finally realizes she can't control you anymore? Peace is the power. She didn't expect. What if the strongest move is silence? What if the most powerful man is the calmest in the room? Let me tell you something strange, but true. A man who is peaceful is terrifying. Not because he yells, not because he tries to prove himself, but because nothing moves him. Not games, not drama, not mixed signals, not the fear of losing someone who doesn't value him. That kind of man, he becomes rare. And when you're rare, you become powerful. You don't have to say you're high value. You live it. You don't react with loud anger or desperate words. You respond with calm silence and walk away with your dignity, while other men chase chaos, trying to fix what doesn't want to be fixed. You step back, not to hurt her, but to protect your peace. That peace? It's golden. It's what keeps you grounded when emotions try to pull you into storms that don't belong to you. And guess what? She feels it. She might test you. She might go cold. She might disappear. But when she sees that you didn't chase, didn't panic, didn't lose yourself, something changes in her. She starts wondering why you're so calm. She starts thinking about you when you're not around. She starts realizing you were never just an option. You were the man who could walk away without explaining, because your silence says more than 1,000 words. And that's the power of the Stoic man. Not because he tries to win her, but because he's already won himself. So here's the final truth. You don't earn love by being available. You become loved when you are unshakable. Now ask yourself, are you ready to stop chasing and start leading?